Chapter 4. Black Fox leaped from the third floor of the office building and landed feet first on the hood of the speeding Mustang, severely denting the metal. Before now, she had been nearly invisible to the car's occupants. Her mostly black, body-hugging costume helped her blend into the shadows. Now, she quickly crouched down and stared menacingly through her golden metal fox mask at the men inside the vehicle. Her long and wavy black hair was blowing wildly in the wind, effectively blocking the driver's view. It didn't bother her at all that they were careening through the streets at 90 miles per hour. "You get one chance," Black Fox screamed at the men. "Pull over, and no one gets hurt." The passenger, a wiry blonde who couldn't have been more than 18, pulled a pistol out of his gray jacket and pointed it directly at Black Fox. At the same time, the driver, a bald African-American man in his early 20s, tried to shake her off the car and bounced off of a curb by mistake. The impact threw the passenger's aim off as he fired. The bullet pierced the windshield and her left shoulder instead of her heart, where the passenger had been aiming. More enraged than hurt, Black Fox summoned a sword to her right hand, its blade made entirely of flames. She plunged her sun saber all the way through the hood and engine, causing it to belch black smoke, flames, and electrical currents. Black Fox leaped off the vehicle as its momentum threw it into a parked SUV. She rolled several times and then stood up. As Black Fox stepped forward, she grabbed her shoulder and doubled over in agony. She visibly fought the urge to scream, feeling as though she might pass out. Just then, the nearby shadows coalesced into a silhouette of a man. The silhouette caught Black Fox and helped steady her. Then it became a young biracial man with close-cropped, curly dark brown hair. He was wearing a form-fitting charcoal gray costume and black boots. "How bad is it?" the young man asked. "It'll heal in a few minutes," Black Fox replied. "I'll be okay." "You were lucky that man didn't kill you, Mother," he said. "That boy is around the same age as you," Black Fox insisted, "and I told you not to call me Mother in public. I'm Black Fox and your shadow. That's all people need to know." "Don't you think people will figure it out?" "It will be a lot less likely to happen if you keep your shadow form and do as I've instructed." At that moment, Black Fox realized she'd made a dangerous mistake. With razor-sharp focus via her enhanced senses, Black Fox's perception of time slowed to a crawl. She pushed past all the other noises and heard the crisp sound of a gun's trigger being pulled back by one of the still conscious thugs. Instantly, she determined the man's target by the proximity and position of the gun. With no time to explain, and fueled by adrenaline and fear for her son's life, Black Fox propelled herself into shadow with all her might. She fully intended to shield him by taking a shot in the abdomen or chest. But then the bullet stopped in midair. Black Fox and Shadow tumbled out of its range and slammed hard against a parked truck. Black Fox took the brunt of the impact in her back and injured shoulder. The blinding pain knocked her unconscious. Shadow pointed at the younger man, and both the gun and his hand were wrapped in the shadows from the ground, squeezed so tight he was unable to fire. More shadows wrapped around his legs and held him in place. "Are you all right?" a young woman's voice shouted. Shadow turned towards the voice. It belonged to the most beautiful-looking woman he'd ever seen. Wearing ordinary clothes, she was close in age to him, but she had glowing eyes made of flame. "I'm fine, but Black Fox is injured," he replied. "You're Black Fox in Shadow?" she exclaimed, amazed. "Yes," Shadow answered. "Whoa," the woman breathed the word. "Thanks for the save," Shadow said warmly. "I haven't seen you before. You're a TK. Very cool." "A what?" "TK. You're a telekinetic. You move things with your thoughts." "Yeah." "Shouldn't we call an ambulance for Black Fox?" "Not necessary," Shadow added. "She heals very fast. She'll be up in a few minutes, and you'd never know she was hurt." "You mean she really has powers? It's not the suit?" The woman looked down at Black Fox. "It's a bit complicated, but the suit's just to hide her identity. She really is part fox." "Incredible. She's your mom, isn't she?" Shadow nodded in agreement. "Don't tell anybody." Shadow couldn't help staring at her, and she noticed. "What's so interesting?" she asked. "Sorry," he answered. "I've just never seen anyone with those before." "Those? What are you talking about?" "Your horns." She just stared at Shadow in confusion for a solid 10 seconds. "Pardon me?" she asked. "You know, your horns." Shadow pointed at her head. He watched her reach up towards her head with both hands and touch solid bone extending about 1 inch wide and 6 inches tall, right above the left and right sides of her hairline, just above her forehead. They curved back to follow the contours of her skull. Her eyes widened. "You didn't know?" Shadow realized. "I'm sorry. How am I going to deal with this? I'm a total freak now. I look like a demon." "Maybe you have control over the transformation," Shadow wondered. "While she's in Black Fox form, Mother has fox-like eyes and teeth, but she can revert to human form at will. Maybe you can make them disappear." "Disappear? Okay. What have I got to lose? Horns, disappear." Leia didn't feel any change to the bone horns, but she did feel an intense sensation of vertigo that sent her falling forwards. When that feeling abated a couple of minutes later, Leia found herself in Shadow's arms while Black Fox was conscious and looking at her with deep concern. A few onlookers had located the source of all the excitement, but they wisely kept their distance. "Leia?" Black Fox asked. "You know me?" Leia replied groggily. "I'm a friend of your parents. Are you all right?" "Did it work?" "What?" Black Fox apparently had no idea what Leia was talking about. "The horns," Shadow interjected. "They're still there," Black Fox replied. "I take it you were trying to make them go away?" Leia nodded. "I feel kind of sick," she added. "I guess I overexerted myself." "We'll get you back to our place after we turn these criminals over to the authorities," Black Fox sympathized. "I think we need to run some tests and make sure you're all right." What did they do?" Leia asked. "They murdered 2 people as part of their gang initiation," Black Fox answered. "Thanks to you, they can answer for their crimes." An hour later, Leia was lying down on a couch in Black Fox's personal residence, a house several miles from where they'd met. Shadow had carried Leia, following Black Fox to their van. Shadow resumed human form and drove their vehicle home while his mother stayed with Leia in the back seat. During the drive, she had felt her new horns become smaller, and now they were just 1 inch tall stubs. Leia's right arm was sore where Black Fox had drawn blood 20 minutes earlier. Between all 4 blood draws, the urine test, and this persistent wooziness, this has turned into one rotten night. And who has a full biochemical lab in the middle of their house? Oh yeah, a superhero. Duh. Shadow walked in. He was wearing a blue t-shirt, jeans, and tennis shoes. From what Leia could see, the rest of the house looked normal. She had seen at least 3 bedrooms on the way to the living room area. Most of the one-story house was painted either off-white or tan, and the carpeting was deep brown. The kitchen had a wooden floor. Leia had been surprised to see a few pictures of Uncle John on one of the walls. Black Fox knows my parents and Uncle John? That can't be a coincidence. Who is she? Are you feeling any better, Leia? Can I get you some water or something? Shadow asked. No thanks, Leia replied. I don't think I'm up for anything right now. How about some company then? He seems so normal now, and he's sweet. Is Shadow your real name? No, my name is Dane. That's a good name. I like it, Leia said. So, you're mixed? Yeah, my dad's white, Dane said. She nodded. Then she considered something else. He's a superhero too? Leia asked. He was a superhero. Yeah, Dane replied. Was? He's dead. He died protecting my mother and her teammates. Oh, I'm so sorry. I guess you could say he saved me too, Dane added. Neither of them knew I was along for the ride at the time. Black Fox walked in. She was still in costume, but she'd removed her mask and resumed human form. She looked tired, but she tried to smile. At last, Dana recognized her. Aunt Dana? You're Black Fox? Hi, Leia. I'm glad you remember me. It's been a long time. Leia's memories flashed back to her childhood momentarily. I was 7, I think. You mean the boy with you, the one I played with back then? That was Dane? Yes, Dana replied, smiling widely now. Then she looked down and her smile faded. What's wrong? Leia asked. I'm sorry, I just don't know a good way to tell you this, Dana added. What, am I dying or something? Leia wasn't sure whether to be reassured or insulted when Dana briefly looked amused. No, nothing like that, Dana chuckled. Okay, well, what is it then? Leia looked to Dane when his mother didn't answer right away. Dane shrugged innocently. Leia, you're 3 months pregnant. What? Leia suddenly felt faint, her mouth hanging open. Several seconds passed as Leia replayed the words, "You're 3 months pregnant," in her mind at least a dozen times. You really didn't know, did you? Dana continued. I didn't think so. You wouldn't have put yourself in danger otherwise. You're sure about this? Leia replied timidly. I was as surprised as you. Your symptoms raised a flag with me, so I wanted to eliminate that as a possibility, except I couldn't. I ran both the urine and blood tests and then used some rather sophisticated scanning equipment. There's no doubt. He's going to be a part of your life from now on, Leia remembered the voice's words in her thoughts again. She knew, Leia blurted out. What? Dana asked. Who knew? What are you talking about? Ever since the first night that I used my powers, there's been this voice in my head. A woman, Leia clarified. Go on, please, Dana urged cautiously. She's helped me a whole lot since then, but she's kind of scary too. And she told me that my boyfriend was going to be a part of my life from now on, so... Leia's eyes widened as she looked down at her belly and placed both hands on it. Wait a second. I'm going to have a baby, she realized. There's a kid in there? I'm going to be a mom? Leia covered her eyes with her hands and leaned back on the couch. Well, I guess I can't put off telling them about me and Josh anymore. Dane, will you go make us some tea? Dana asked. Dana left the room, and Dana pulled a chair to the couch and sat down next to Leia. We were supposed to finish college, get married, and then have kids, not the other way around. Don't worry, it's not the end of the world, Dana said. I know from experience, you can have a healthy baby and make the rest of your life come together. My life has been a complete mess lately, Leia replied. This is just icing on the cake. You have wonderful parents. They'll help support you, Dana reassured. So will I. And the father? Hey, Josh. Good news. I've got superpowers, I look like a demon, and I'm having your baby. Want to get married? Leia laughed at the thought. Then she closed her eyes and sighed. He'll probably be happy, Leia added. We love each other. That's good. So what's the problem? Dana asked. He doesn't know about my powers. He saw a manifestation of them, but I think she made him forget it. She? That voice? She's a telepath then? Leia nodded. The woman behind the voice still scared her. A very powerful telepath, Leia replied. She erased or changed the memories of everyone who saw me use my powers that night. Oh my. Dana cast her eyes heavenward, then stood and paced the floor. What? You act like you know her, Leia added. If she's who I think she is, then I do, and that's very, very bad. Why? She's an extremely dangerous and psychotic woman, what we'd call a supervillain. Her name is Malevolence. Just the mention of that name sent a chill down Leia's spine. Why would she even know me, much less be helping me? Leia asked. I can tell you why, Dana replied, but you won't like it. Just tell me, Aunt Dana. I need to know. She's your biological mother. And that is chapter 4.